What is going on? Chip Happens, episode, I don't know, I think 43. I'm a little shaken up today, and we're gonna talk about that. Let's get into it. So we are back here on this lovely pre-Thanksgiving day. There will not be an episode next week, just FYI, if you're looking out for it. I will be spending Thanksgiving with the fam, so there will not be an episode of Chip Happens. We will be back right after that little break. I know. You're like, this guy's already back on his schedule, but now he's off again. Look, cut me a little bit of slack, all right? Cut me a little bit of slack. Okay, so a couple things I want to address before we go on to today's topic. Today's episode might be a little shorter, but that's all right. Let's go into some. Let's actually hear our song real quick. Let's hit the song, get that going. I heard the song on the radio, couldn't stop humming it to myself. It's by Chase Rice, If I Were Rock and Roll. Here we go.
If I were a NASCAR man going round and round, yeah, you know I'd be number 3. If I were the best damn football in the South, I'd be the SEC. And if I were a Velcro stitched up stars and stripes, you can bet I'd be flying proud, pressed on the chest of America's best, putting bad dudes in the ground. And if I were rock and roll, I'd be a middle finger in your face. If I were a lost soul, I'd be in church more than just Sundays. And if for some reason I was Jesus, I'd have a lot of forgiving to do. And if I weren't a fool, girl, I'd still be with you. If I were a granddaddy rocking on a rocking chair, I'd have a grandson on my lap. If I were first time there, front porch stare, I'd pray she'd kiss me back. If I were a rebel kid meeting with a man, hearing Johnny don't do that, with a guitar strapped, I'd go all black, tell them all to kiss my ass. If I were rock and roll, I'd be a middle finger in your face. If I were a lost soul, I'd be in church more than just Sundays. And if for some reason I was Jesus, I'd have a lot of forgiving to do. And if I weren't a fool, girl, I'd still be with you. Yeah, I'd still be with you. If I were a smart man, I wouldn't just write you a song straight from the heart and pray you turned it on. I know I'd step it up and I'd mean it when I look into your eyes. And I'd be on my way to Denver and I'd be holding you tonight. And if I were rock and roll, I'd be a middle finger in your face. If I were a lost soul, in church more than just Sundays. And if for some reason I was Jesus, I'd have a lot of forgiving to do. And if I weren't a fool, girl, I'd still be with you. Yeah, I'd still be with you. I'd still be home, I'd still be with you. I'd still be home, I'd still be home.
All right. Okay. Let's address a couple things before we move on to today's topic. The amount of people that came up to me and said I missed things for the Black Friday sales. My God, I cannot believe this. Okay. So let's go back. You're going to be hearing this probably on Friday, 11/19 is when this episode is going to release. So the deals should still be hot. A lot of people were saying, G, you didn't mention the Milwaukee Packout system. And I actually, honest God, don't remember if if I did or not. The Packout is the best modular tool like box system available right now. If you're not getting a metal toolbox, if you need something for a job site, the Packout is absolutely the best. There's no other comparison. Everyone's like, but the DeWalt Tough System good. No, that one sucks. I've tried it. I've tried them all. The rigid one is okay, actually, but honestly, I just save your money. Now, the Packout online, you get the Packout. It comes with 3 boxes: the rolling crate, the kind of medium-sized crate, and the small crate. You get this 22-inch system. It is $229, but if you go to the store, 2 Home Depots, at least here in the area I'm at, 2 Home Depots had them for sale for $199, which is a steal. The bottom box, the rolling box alone, retails for $140. All right, so that is a pretty solid deal. All right, I would definitely recommend going that one. Okay, if you are a firm believer of the DeWalt Tough System, they do have a 6-piece combo available. This one's not on sale, but it is a combination. It's the DeWalt Tough System box. It's like the rolling crate that the Packout has, but it comes with their... Dang, hold on real quick. Man, I'm not even gonna edit it out. I like phone calls like that. I did turn my mic off, so it didn't pull up. Anyways, so it comes with all, I believe it's all the XR tools. So it's not necessarily, oh, nope. Let me click on it. I'm gonna click on the link for you guys. Oh, it's the 2.0 Tough System, still sucks. Okay, it is the XR. It doesn't look like it's the Step Up XR, but it is a hammer drill. So it is DeWalt's sort of premium line. They do have a line above that one. But it is XR. It comes with 2 4-amp hour batteries, the charger, the impact, the hammer drill, looks like a 6.5-inch circular saw, a multi-tool, the sander, which is one of my favorites, and a reciprocating saw, and the DeWalt Tough System. $500. Not a bad little deal. Not my favorite. One thing I did pass up though, which is actually pretty much a steal. If you are in the market for a shop vac, the rigid shop vacs are insanely good. I only use rigid shop vacs in my shop. I have a smaller Milwaukee that handles a lot of the small stuff, but most of my tools are connected to rigid shop vacs and they work fantastic. This one is a 16-gallon, 5 horsepower. It's the Next brand wet dry shop vac. Comes with a hose, the accessories, and the filter, right? And it's $50. Now, it's typically $100, so it's half off right now, which is a very, very solid deal. What else? I'm looking through my notes here and not really finding other things that are worth a mention. The DeWalt table saw, the job site table saw is $300. I think I mentioned that one last time. If you want to see, this is where the tricky part is. They have a 12-gallon rigid vacuum for $75. The real steal is the 16-gallon one. That one's way better than this 12-gallon 5 horsepower one, and it's way cheaper. That one's the real steal that people were saying I missed, and yeah, it was my bad. Let's see. A lot of people are raving about the mechanics tool set. In fact, if you want a better, this is a little bit off. If you want a better mechanics tool set, comes with all the little mechanics like pieces like sockets, wrenches, that sort of thing. The Hart brand, the Walmart, I don't want to turn you away. Walmart Hart brand, pretty solid deal. Okay, I don't want to lose anyone talking about tool deals. There are a ton of good deals out here between toolboxes, that sort of thing. Just keep a lookout. I'm going to try my best to make sure you guys are well prepared just in case you want to get into this. A lot of students of mine really want to get into construction, and so this is why I do these tool deals. They're trying to look for the best deals possible, and these are the ones that I see popped up right now. Okay, let's talk about what happened today. Why am I a little shaken up? So accidents happen in the shop. All right, it's just name of the game. Accidents happen. You know, unfortunately, people do get hurt. So what happened? So today was a particular bad day. This is, I think, the first day that a student left to go get stitches. So everyone's gonna rename nameless. The event's going to be not really super focused, but essentially the question I want to answer is what do I do in the event of an accident? What do I do? So this student was taking a piece of wood out of the table saw. He just turned the table saw off. Now my table saw, the only bad thing about my Jet table saw is that it doesn't have an electric brake. So that means the saw stops with friction. So it just spins and then it slowly stops. Okay, very, very basic. This student decided to, I hammer it in my safety test. Always have my safety test. And I always make sure before they do anything, they have to make sure the blade stops spinning, just in case, because there are things that do not have electric brakes. And so he decided he wasn't going to wait. He thought he can just, take the piece out of the table saw and accidentally hit his finger. And he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, G, I hit my finger." And I looked, I'm like, "What the hell?" And I see a bunch of blood. So so internally I panic, right? Because I'm like, "Oh my God, like the last thing I want is a kid to hurt himself in the shop. That's the last thing I want. That scares the crap out of me. And that's something I do not want any student to, run into." So I panicked. But anyways, I didn't let him see that. That's the most important part. When you are dealing with an issue, you can't let them see your panic. You kind of just have to look at it and act, right? So what I first do is I had a kid cut himself before on a saw, not this bad, but he cut himself before on a bandsaw. And what I did was I looked at it. I'm like, "Okay, let's go over here and let's put an antiseptic wipe so we can wipe the blood away and we can look at how deep the cut is." Because cuts on your hand, you have to understand, they seal up very quickly. Your hand is very fast at kind of sealing up. I cut my hands many times, like to the bone, and by the time I've gotten to the hospital, it was already too late for them to really do much. So what happened was I got his hand at least cleaned or wiped up a little bit. Then I look at the cut and I kind of analyze, maybe? No, that's not the right word. I kind of just look at the cut and see, okay, is it deep? Do I need to send this kid to the nurse? Can I treat it here with a Band-Aid, tell him go back to work? What can I do? And I made the decision to send him to the nurse, which I knew was going to be if I sent him there, I knew it didn't look quite right. And it was cut and it looks like it needed some sort of stitching, hold it back together. The thing is, it wasn't a really deep cut. It was a cut that needed, it was a wide cut because it was a circular saw blade or a table saw blade. It was 1/8 of an inch. So it's a kind of a wide cut and it did kind of pull and tear a little bit. He's lucky it didn't drag him into the machine and cut his little fingers off. And the problem and the scary part about being in a shop is that can end your program. Your program could be done after that, right? It could just be shut down because it's too much of a liability. You have this kid that is in the hospital right now getting stitches and it's crazy to me, right? Now, the number one question I get asked is, okay, what could you have done to prevent the situation? At the end of the day, the first thing I do, and I explained this to people who asked, the first thing I did afterwards, after the panic went away, I'm like, okay, I need to check out the machine. Was there something wrong in the machine? Now, there is a statistic, I can't even speak right now. There is a statistic out there saying that 80% of shop accidents are due to unsafe, like people unsafe in the shop. So unsafe actions. 20% are due to unsafe conditions. Now, I am in charge of the conditions in the shop. I have to make sure everything's as safe as I possibly can get it, right? The actions, I'm in charge of teaching the students how to be safe in the shop, but if they don't respond or take to my teaching, then it's kind of on them, right? And I don't want to say that to be mean, right? But at the end of the day, if I am teaching you and you don't follow the teaching, then that is on you. So I look at the saw, I'm like, okay, well, the guard was in place, everything was in place. It looked like someone pulled it up because they were making a little cut, but the riving knife was there, everything was there. So it did match up. The kid didn't lie to me. He told me straight up, he goes, "Yeah, I was just trying to pull the piece of wood out and I didn't let it stop." I'm like, oh shit. He was lucky it wasn't on. So he pulled the piece of wood off and that's where it hit his thumb. And yeah, it's so just crazy to me. I just think about that whole thing. And then so I have to figure out, okay, the machine, that was good. Okay, let's go and how I handled the situation. Now I have to look at that. How did I go through and handle that situation? Did I handle it to the best of my ability? And I believe I did. I cleaned the wound, assessed the site, and then moved it on to a person if I needed to go. Another interesting part about trauma and stuff, even though it wasn't a really big cut, I always make another student walk with him to the nurse. All right. Because just in case something happens, there's another student that can be there to alert someone. Right. And I know with blood, everything gets a little bit weird, but typically it's not super bad. I definitely have my thoughts and prayers out to this kid. It's the last thing I wanted, but unfortunately it's hard, right? So let's talk about legally and legality on this one. Who is at fault? Now, typically, I've seen things happen or heard stories happen where a student might say, I didn't know that I had the weight. Mr. G never told me, or not saying this happened, but the teacher never told me. So it's important that we have a safety test. If you're a teacher out there and you're teaching shop, for the love of God, you need to have a safety test and students need to pass it with 100%. If they do not pass it with 100%, then it opens the door to more liability. So I have a part in my safety test where I say, if you want to do anything to a machine, you have to wait for the blade to stop moving first. That is a question they have to get right. And every student, before they can work, has to get 100% every time. So if we get that going and we understand that part, then we should be better. All right. We should be better prepared to cover our rears, right? Is something going to happen? I don't think so. But can something may happen to you? It could. It could very much happen. I'm in my 3rd year. This is probably the worst accident I've had in the shop in terms of student going to get stitches. I did have a girl who stapled her finger accidentally, and the staple went like through her finger, and she had to go to the hospital to get that removed. But this is probably the worst accident I've had, and it's super scary, and it makes you like really contemplate wherever you're doing, and I think that's the hardest part. So what I can recommend for you guys, what I can recommend for people that might be in the profession or going to profession, make sure you're covering your rear end. Make sure everything is outlined, and make sure you have every possible I and T crossed and dotted. All right. Make sure that you are set just in case something were to happen, that nothing horribly bad was going to happen. Or and make sure you're also ready, right? Have a first aid kit ready. Don't be fumbling around. I have my first aid kit mounted on the wall. I can immediately walk over there, undo it. I know exactly where everything's at. I can get a Band-Aid on the kid and get him rolling, right? And that can make the difference in loss of blood. Even if a finger is gone, I can save the finger. Now, it's always rough and it's always heartbreaking, and I am still a little shaken up about it, right? And that's okay. That's honestly kind of normal. Anyways, I'm going to end the episode here. I just wanted to talk. I was going to talk about leadership and inspiring students, but I think I'm going to leave that to the next one because we have some things going on when we get back. So I think I have some free time to really get that done, but I want to make sure that I address this because this is a once and it doesn't happen often. I hope never again, but it's a once and doesn't happen often. Knock on wood. Knock on some wood right here. It's a once and doesn't happen super often. All right. Hey, I appreciate every single one of you guys listening. I appreciate all of you out there that follow me and send me questions and that sort of thing. Every one of my students that are listening right now, I appreciate you past and present. You guys are the best. All right. I don't even know why I started there. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. This has been an episode of the Chip Happens podcast. Thank you all for listening, and I will catch you next week with another exciting episode.